Hello everyone, and welcome to round 2 of the Mopar Pro Superbike National Championships. The battle by the beach at Grand Bend Motorplex, presented by Fast Track Performance, Hully Gully, the ultimate toy store, and Tourism Sarnia-Lambton. Brought to you by Mopar Express Lane, Drift, and Parts Canada.
Getting ready for our second race in 2019 that will determine the overall #1 plate for motorcycle road racing. We're at Grand Bend, and we had a great day in qualifying yesterday.
The most exciting qualifying session I have ever seen, Colin. Ben Young stealing the pole position away from Jordan Zoke, who had taken it out of Ben's back pocket just shortly before that. A new lap record, and just 7 seconds left on the clock before Braveheart was able to pull off that near miracle.
And lap records don't happen that often, and this was an outright lap record. This is the all-time motorcycle record for the track, so that's always good.
Been several lap records actually dropping around here, and I'm sure that's made the folks at Dunlop very happy about things. They came out with that new compound tire for the pro riders, and the new profile for the Superbike riders. A little bit of a softer compound, and Sandy Noche made no bones about it at all. They bought lap records out of this, and they're getting them.
Well, yeah, the march of technology is something we love to talk about, but it's nice to have tangible things to demonstrate how we've moved forward.
Jeff Williams making another appearance on the circuit. He had a very, very good run at Shannonville, as you recall. Colin ending up in second at Shannonville in the qualifier, and just about had pole position himself until Ben Young took it away from him in the first round of our 2019 Superbike Series.
Making the very tight turn that they will never make in a race onto the grid, which is in the middle of the track, using a piece of pavement that's in perfect condition but isn't ever used for any of our races. And this just allows us a little bit more of a straight shot, lets the field open up just a little bit.
And it is definitely a decision made in the favor of safety, of course, with the bus stop corners coming off our front straightaway. That would make for a very tight corner for all of our riders to get through. And let's remember, we got 30 riders on our Superbike grid today.
Right, full field and very competitive. Has been a good start to the year. We're under starters orders now, and everybody watching that front row with Jordan Zoke in the middle on the Kawasaki.
Yeah, Michael Leon off to his right-hand side. The lights are coming on now. They're all on. When they go off, the field will be away and running. The lights have gone off, and it looks like Ben Young got a pretty good launch on that one. We'll have a look. Oh, Michael Leon is the man out front right now on the Royal Distributing BMW number 74. Oh, man, we got somebody down. Somebody has taken the field. It is actually Phil Leckie on the 310 machine, who has had a mishap in the very early stages of this race. So now we are on board with Ben Young. We're chasing after Michael Leon, and Ben Young has made the pass cleanly. So we got BMWs running 1 and 2.
But unfortunately, we've got two issues. One, Leckie is in a very bad spot, and two, Leon jumped the start.
Oh, wow. And he, of course, obviously did not give that up. We've seen him jump the start before. He did it once before at Shannonville, as I recall. Backed off right away, gave up a position, and got back and gone red already. Holy cow, that didn't take very long.
That was probably the Leckie incident, and that looked like it involved 2 or 3 other riders, and Leckie just wound up on the outside and got squeezed out till there was no room.
Yeah, most unfortunate, because Leckie was actually just coming back from a bit of a, not a bit, he's been away from us for a couple of years now from the national circuit, and he arriving at Grand Bend Motorplex in a very good state of mind, very confident and what have you, and very pleased to be back on the circuit.
All right,
okay,
you can see the starters orders, and we're going to give this another try. It looks like the same thing, but hopefully no jump start.
Here we go again. The lights are coming on. The last light has now come on. We wait expectantly for them to go off, and the field will be away, and it has happened. They are away indeed. It looks like Ben Young on this one. No, it's Jordan Zoke. Zoke has got the whole shot on this one, and Daly's in third spot right away.
And good news, don't forget, for Leon, because this restart means no penalty for the jump the first time.
Very good point. Stevie Nickerson sitting in fourth spot there, right in behind Trevor Daly. We were on board with Jordan Zoke there for a moment, having a look at Ben Young as we go into the carousel right now. That long, sweeping right-hand corner, which has been happy hunting ground for Ben Young in the last few visits here. This is our third visit now to Grand Bend Motorplex, and Young has moved into the lead right away. Braveheart uncorks one and puts Jordan Zoke back into second spot. Daly holds on to third, Nickerson in fourth, Michael Leon running in fifth.
Nice easy move there, nice and smooth on the brakes. Of course, Young almost always very, very smooth, but that was about as effortless as a pass as we've seen in a section where there's been a lot of damage.
If Ben Young had a rear view mirror, this is exactly what it would be, seeing that big number 1 plate right in behind him. But it is Young. Oh, look at here now. He's starting to get a little bit of distance very early here, trying to put in a couple of fast laps and leave the rest of the pack behind.
On board with Trevor there, a really good shot. You can see Jordan is pushing hard to stay with Young, and look at Trevor.
Oh, wow, Trevor way wide on the exit.
Back on board with the Suzuki, so this is what it looks like, battling for the lead. Now we're looking backwards from leader Young, and you can see the top 2, 3 maybe, are maybe pulling clear.
And on board right now as we have a look at Jordan Zoke from Trevor Daly's camera. Now we're looking back from Ben Young, and now we're having a good look at the field as formed down into the bus stop right in front of the main grandstands. And speaking of which, those grandstands have very little room left in them on this day.
Heading through the tight technical S's section where there's been lots of crazy things happen in the last 2 seasons, including a very big crash 2 years ago for Young that took him out of the fight for the lead. And look at Zoke really fighting with that Kawasaki to hang in with Young as we're on board with Trevor Suzuki.
When we saw Zoke take that hole shot, it was like flashing back a couple of years when he totally dominated and would, take the hole shot and then just run away with the thing. That is not the case, nor has it been late in last year. Things started to change, and it looks like we have had a bit of a change. Wow, Daly is going so wide there, Colin.
Yeah, Trevor uses all the track, and he is a bit of a cowboy, and he likes to handle the bike that way. He's comfortable and confident with it. But while we're being impressed by Daly, maybe his best run ever in Pro Superbike, we have to look at who's right behind him.
Yep, Nickerson, Michael Leon.
Ultimate effort by Nickerson, right? And that's a shoestring effort. And those guys, his family, are doing a terrific job. And being at the front of a Superbike race is no easy task. They've been plugging away with that Honda for quite some time, developing it and running more and more nationals. This is their second race so far this year, so far they're on the tour.
And you can say what you like about it being your home track, and you have to put more laps and more saddle time on around this racetrack. But when the big boys come to town, it don't matter a whole lot to keep up pace with them.
No, there's no place to hide in a national Superbike race. Either you have the pace or you don't. And I think we go back to about 8th place, maybe Trepanier. I'm looking back there. And then this group is way clear of everybody else.
This is rapidly developing into a 2-horse race. Daly keeps using that wide line, and I don't think that's working to his advantage at all. Look at the advantage now that Ben Young and Jordan Zoke have over Daly at this point in the race.
Jordan Zoke in attack mode. He looks so good on that green Kawasaki. Of course, for years and years, he piled up those number 1s before he switched to BMW and added a whole bunch more number 1s.
Yeah, this is a deja vu kind of thing, looking at Jordan on a Kawasaki for many years. Working lap 4 right now as Young continues to lead. Daly a little bit off the pace. Nickerson's still there, as is Michael Leon. But the battle is obviously up front. See that flame come out of Jordan's exhaust pipe there as they exited the bus stop right in front of the grandstands. Great viewing area for race fans.
And here we go through the first set of S's, maybe a little bit tighter than it opens up, but you're almost always following the right after a left or a left after right around here. So you've got to have a good balance and stability and weight back to front, controlled on your motorcycle, and a fairly tight shot as our leaders head onto the back straight. Let's watch and see. Oh, look at that. Zoke pulling a pretty nice wheelie there. So maybe he's adjusting his TC a little bit to make sure he gets his best launch.
Zoke having a look at Ben Young, and he moves right in on him. Here we are looking back from Ben Young, and my goodness gracious, Jordan Zoke is right there. Looks to me like he's getting ready to pounce.
Good work for our editors with those onboard drift cameras, because when Zoke was right on top with the wide angle lens, if he looks that close, he's right up against Young's fender.
Once more, we have a look at these two guys going at it, and Daly, looks like Daly's making up a bit of room now, and he's starting to maybe close up again on Zoke and become part of this
yeah, you can see Daly and Nickerson is not as close anymore, and it looks like Leon and Nickerson are getting into it for 4th.
A bit of movement from Ben's bike there. You might have seen that on the camera when we were looking back at Jordan Zoke. There is a bit of a dip in the asphalt at that point in the track, and I think that's what Ben hit right there. And yes, indeed, Daly is definitely becoming a part of this conversation once more. He is closed up and still running very wide, going out onto that back straightaway, and you can see those big black streaks off those Dunlop slicks as the boys accelerate.
Young with a little bit of adventure there on the brakes, being a bit more aggressive than he usually is. And once again, Zoke really gobbles him up on the entrance there. Zoke's pace in the carousel is impressive. And remember, that carousel has been crucial on the last lap the last 2 years.
It has indeed, but as I commented earlier, has also been happy hunting ground for Ben Young, so I'm not sure that Zoke has any particular advantage at that point in the racetrack. But we'll see how that plays out. Zoke is right with Ben Young right now, and man, he is riding very well indeed. This is a far different Zoke than what we saw at Shannonville, where he was recovering from a nasty crash and was somewhat injured, and still withal was able to put in the fastest lap of the race.
Well, the Zoke group had to build a new Kawasaki because one was badly damaged at Shannonville. He still got some aches and pains. Samuel Trepanier is in the same sort of situation where he can ride, but he doesn't feel great. But of course, when you're busy battling for the lead, that will take your mind off a lot of little things.
On board with the wild child, Trevor Daly down the back straightaway, and these three riders have definitely left some considerable distance between themselves. Stevie Nickerson and Michael Leon, who were the chasers when last seen. On board with Trevor Daly right now, on board the Suzuki GSXR 1000 with support from Parts Canada. Here he goes in chase of Zoke. In fact, he's closer to Zoke right now than Zoke is to Ben Young.
And it's interesting to note that before, Young and Zoke had fairly similar riding styles when they were on the BMW. Of course, Ben Young is inch perfect. But now that Zoke is back with Kawasaki, a little more aggressive, and he and Trevor look more similar. There you can see, I might be right about him adjusting the traction control, because it was spinning the tire more. And by the way, that may be what he wants to finish the turn. And I think Jordan was saying, reading between the lines, that compared to the BMWs, the Kawasaki may be a little happier with a harder tire, so maybe working the tire more is something that helps that bike.
Whoa.
Trevor was actually off the track that time, and what we're looking at is pavement that they should be on, and beside it is the old World War II runway. It has not been refinished for road racing, so probably not good to ride there.
No, I wouldn't think so. As a matter of fact, that part of the race, well, it's not part of the racetrack, as a matter of fact, but that outside of the racetrack has a lot of kibbles and bits, shall we say, a lot of stones and what have you out at that section. On board with Trevor Daly once more as we keep a close eye on the race leaders, Ben Young and Jordan Zoke. And as you can see from the background shot there, Colin, these guys are getting away. They're going for a ride. Love
this on board, and Trevor shows such a good view of the two different riding styles in front of him, demonstrating Zoke's approach is different, and I don't think this is a right and a wrong. Different bikes, different tire choices, different styles of riding, and of course, Zoke a little more aggressive, a little more leaned into it perhaps than our leader. And I'd like to point out that at this distance, so far Young has not been headed in the series this season.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Trevor Daly, incidentally, is doing exactly what he should have done and what he was trying to do at Shannonville. He was trying to make clear, as you may remember, he had Tommy Cassis and Jeff Williams in front of him, and he's trying desperately to get past those two to hook up with the top three. Zoke is starting to get a little aggressive here. The snake is getting ready to strike by the looks of it.
Well, as you said, Frank, we've been here 3 times, and this is our 3rd time, and Young and Zoke have been all over each other any time we've raced here, pretty much every lap.
Yeah. Countering Bodie Eady, of course, who ended up winning that first race here back in 2017. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Zoke and Ben Young have a bit of a history here.
And you could argue that with Eady winning our first ever race here and Jordan winning last year, that Ben Young is the guy who's due at this track, because he's been fast both seasons.
Well, if you look at the qualifying times and what have you, Ben Young, when he uncorked the final lap with 7 seconds left on the clock to take Super Pole, he got, I think it was a 103.045, so he's getting really close to 102, and we may see a 102 in this contest.
I don't know if you caught that, Jordan. Zoke just lost our onboard drift camera, so we won't be watching from Zoke's Kawasaki again. And as usual in the carousel, he is right up against the back of Young's motorcycle, and I think if this plays onto the last lap, it's going to be interesting in that section.
Well, when it comes time for payout, perhaps we can take the cost of that camera off Jordan Zoke's check.
Maybe just too much speed.
Okay, Zoke and Young again starting to get a little bit of distance over Trevor Daly. Daly had fallen off the pace just a wee bit a couple of laps ago, and then he closed it back up again. and right now he is just a little bit back of them, but nonetheless keeping pace, but certainly not within striking distance.
With so many of these double corners where you're turning one way right after you turn the first way, Young's discipline and his ability not to rush the first part, get his timing right for the second, and of course then get the drive, which is the most important part when you get to the next straightaway. Young's riding style does suit this track.
Keep an eye on Daly, because speaking of drive, he just got the best drive we've seen in this race. He had the best line coming out of that hairpin corner that he's had all race long. Having a look now at the number 1 plate on the guy that I call the People's Champion, Jordan Zoke, 13 times champion, and a very popular man around the Canadian Superbike circuit.
And interesting, Zoke is trying some different lines, and I don't know if that's about the tire or just trying to set up a pass or just doing a little shopping, but he is not locked into a line, and it doesn't seem to be affecting his pace a lot. Young is more consistent in where he's putting the bike, but of course, Young doesn't know what Jordan's up to. Hasn't seen Jordan this year in a race. Jordan's seen a lot of Ben.
Yeah.
So Ben, you could argue that Jordan has a little bit of an advantage because he's watching, and look at that, how close he is this time.
He is definitely right there. Why do I get this unsettled feeling that he's getting ready to uncork one and perhaps go for a ride by himself? We're coming up on traffic already, Colin, so this could definitely factor into things as well. And when you get into traffic, I would have to give the nod to Jordan Zoke. He has a little bit thicker file to draw from than Ben Young does.
Interesting discussion, because at Shannonville, when we got to traffic, Young threw some good passes in, and I think that was to show the people behind that he had changed his philosophy a little bit. He's not going to be quite as careful. So I'm no longer sure about how traffic's going to play amongst these guys.
And they have definitely, we've lost sight of Trevor Daly. There he is now, but he is...
he lost some time for sure.
Yeah, big time. And that's ironic because, as I commented, he got the best drive of the laps that we've seen thus far.
You did it to him.
Oh, sorry. The announcer's curse. We're on board with Ben Young right now, on board that BMW S1000R, the Van Dolder sponsored machine. He's got a sponsorship especially in place for this weekend. And I know the folks from Van Dolder, they're a contractor that works alongside Scott Built, which of course is Ben Young's father's company. And they have jumped on board to sponsor him, and Ben has responded.
Did you see the black line that Jordan just put down? That bike is doing very well. Now, right now, Young's got a problem. How is he going to time this? And of course, he would like to hesitate for a second and then use Jordan, right? Make Jordan get blocked and Ben make the move. So he may wait to get to these guys till he hopes he can help get an advantage out of what's about to happen.
Well, here we go down into the bus stop. Wouldn't you know, we get into those tight corners and traffic is right there. The fans sitting there have got, this is the best viewing spot of all the racetracks in Canada, and I'm not kidding about that. This bus stop is huge entertainment. We've seen it time and again. Now they're on the lap rider, and they have got cleanly by. No hold up there at all.
No, that went really well, and I don't think it hurt Jordan particularly. And by the way, Frank, we only have a couple more laps to go. The race length was shortened because of the incident at the start of the first start. So we're not going 20 laps, we're going 16. So there's not much time in this. These traffic incidents are going to be key.
Here we are. That's Vivian Matthews there on the number 3 bike, and I believe that to be Luc Lebranche on the 888. Ben Young gets by. Jordan Zoke gets stalled up a bit. Oh, look out, look out. On board with Ben Young right now. Zoke is right there. He leaves Matthews behind. Matthews is mounted on the Yamaha R1, and we peel off into the long carousel here. We're on board with Ben Young, and Zoke had a really close look at the inside line there. It looked like he almost had a pass made, and Ben returned at mid-corner.
Yeah, I think Young was a little off his line because of the traffic, but didn't want to give up the speed, and that was very close to a collision. But, you know, we don't have much time left, and Jordan has to make something happen and try and take advantage of the traffic in the same way that Young's trying to scrub him off in traffic.
I believe we're working lap 15, so we should be looking to the last lap flag coming out very soon. Looking back from Ben Young once more on the Van Dolder sponsored BMW S1000RR, and again, we do have traffic coming up, so we'll see how this factors into it, because we have precious little time to get this thing done, and I'm sure that's exactly what Jordan Zoke is thinking right now, rather. I've got precious little time to get this thing done. If I'm going to win this motorcycle race, it's time to get on the gas and then on the brakes, of
Amazing
course.
How often they've run down the straight and no one's made a mistake, and they're about the same distance apart. And you can see, as usual, Jordan fast in the carousel, and we've got a lap to go. So whatever you've got up your sleeve, this is the time when you pull that card.
That last lap flag still not within 2 laps to go is what they're showing us as we come up on another rider. Ben Young goes around the outside. Zoka's been stalled up. Definitely stalled up, but he quickly gets on the inside of that same rider that Ben Young ran around the outside of. Jordan goes on the inside of, and indeed he doesn't seem to have lost maybe a couple of feet, if that.
Well, you made the point about Jordan's experience in traffic. Waved yellow flag there, so that's a bit of a concern. And Jordan made some fast, quick, good decisions there. Obviously, all the decisions are fast, and he might be slightly further back, but he has, as you pointed out, one more lap in a bit.
Well, the rules read that if it's a waved yellow flag, there is no passing allowed. However, if it's a standing yellow flag, passing is allowed. And there were several riders that got caught out on that just last year.
Heading into the carousel for the second last time, and we've seen this view of Jordan very, very close to Ben Young. And there you can see he's changing up the line, trying to figure out what'll work.
Zoka, again,
there's the last lap.
Here we go, last lap. Here we go, down into the bus stop. Zoka's right all over Ben Young. Young with a fast qualifier. He did fast qualifier last year and got beat out at the line by Jordan Zoka. And I've got a sneaking suspicion we're going to have another one of those deja vus all over again. It certainly is very similar to what we saw last year, albeit Zoka on a Kawasaki this time around.
Here we go, heading into traffic. I believe that's Louis Rafa, and yeah, Young couldn't quite get him.
Nope, both got by cleanly. Young lifts the front wheel as he makes that pass, and now we head down in towards the hairpin. And this will be our final run down the straightaway. Here we go. Grab a handful of horsepower. Hold on. We're going for a ride now. Ben Young looking back at Zoka, and Zoka's right there. He's on his back wheel. He moved to the right side of Ben Young, and Jordan Zoka has done it. He has moved it. Oh, there we go. Ben Young now returning the favor. Oh, man, was that contact or what? That was an extremely close pass. Zoka passing Young going in, and Young returning the favor, and Ben Young should be headed off towards the... Yes, he's got it. He has won the race, and Zoka isn't very happy about it. He's put a dent in the gas tank of that Kawasaki. And that is Jordan Zoka's dad, Bob. And there we have Ben Young. He knows he's won in a delighted, assembled crowd here who have taken Ben Young to heart. He has become Canada's most popular road racer. No question about it, Colin.
Well, that's Ben's second race win in a row. Perfect so far this year. Slides up to get the checker flag. That's 3 out of the last 4 nationals. Jordan has not won a race since last July, almost a year.
Wow. Yeah, and those races that Jordan did not win, Ben won 2 of them, 3 of them now, and Kenny Reedman was the one that put him behind in the other one, the race at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park last August. So
there we see Young, and he's looking proud. Looking at the results, we can see that the lap times were quite remarkable at the front and not that far off the lap record. Daly, that's maybe his best race ever. Nickerson, oh my goodness, what a fantastic result for that team. Michael Leon hung on and battled Nickerson, got 5th, and Kazaz, another great race in his second start in a Superbike. Trepanier, not sure what's going on there. Not really the effort we expected.
Struggling. Yeah, and hats off to Trevor Daly, by the way. He set the fastest lap of the race.
I knew even though I qualified 4th yesterday on the Fast Company Suzuki GSXR that we had we had the pace for later in the race, and it was a lot of fun watching those guys go at it in front of me, and it's been a while since I've been up on the box, so it's great to be here.
Number 1 plate holder Jordan Zoka, I thought you had it, man.
Yeah, I thought I did too. I just made a little mistake there. I've been behind Ben most of the race and was planning something for the end there. And I noticed kind of where he was braking off the back straightaway, and then I thought, on the last lap, I figured he'd probably try and run it in there pretty deep. And so I anticipated that he was going to do that, and he broke a little earlier than I thought. So instead of just braking up beside him and blocking him out and having the whole track to myself, I went flying by him, and he was able to check up, and I figured I was going to run a little bit wide, and I almost had it. If I could have got it maybe a foot in to the right, and I would have held on to it, but he just snuck it by mid-corner there.
And now my chance to chat with Braveheart. Pretty popular win, Ben. Tell us about your race. You have fun?
Yeah, it was a great race. First of all, I hope Phil's okay after that accident at the start. Yeah, that was a great one. I had Jordan on the heels the whole time. It made us push the whole way. The Van Dolders home team, BMW, worked great this weekend. Just since from the first session, we really got the bike dialed in from the get-go. Myself mentally was ready to go as well. After a couple of weekends off, refresh, reset button, and go again. So it was great to come out here and do the sweep again this weekend. Jordan got that half a lap on us, but apart from that, it was a clean race for us. And the BMW worked great. Everybody out here it's awesome to see. Just like Jordan, this one's not far from us, so we got a lot of fans and friends come out and hang out. So it's always a great one. The weather's always great here at Grand Bend. Thanks to everybody, and BMW again, another W.
Doesn't he speak well? Ladies and gentlemen, your podium, Trevor Daly in third spot, Jordan Zook in second, and atop of the box, Braveheart, Benny Young.
Looking at our point standings, heading to St. Eustache, Ben Young certainly has a useful lead, but what's interesting is Nickerson and Kazaz, two young guns. Nickerson's been in Superbike for a couple of years, but not doing the whole tour. Kazaz in his second race, and they are showing a lot of form.
Really nice mix of brands as well, Colin. A good mixture there, especially with Daly having that Suzuki and showing up in the points chase.
Daly, of course, hoping to move up after that poor effort at Shannonville, but a competitive third here is maybe the start of a breakthrough for him.
Could well be. We've got a season ahead of us yet, so we'll see how it plays out. Well, that wraps up round 2 of the 2019 Mopar Canadian Superbike Championship races from Grand Bend. Our next stop on the tour is St. Eustache. It will be the final race at that racetrack. Until then, on behalf of Colin Fraser and myself, Frank Wood, and the entire CSBK crew, take good care. We'll see you soon. This race was brought to you by Mopar Express Lane, Drift, and Parts Canada.